Welcome back to the Friday 5 for July 5th, 2024. It's a holiday week edition. 5 quick questions in about 5 minutes. Things that came up in recent consultations. Maybe they have questions that you had in the past. My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm an estate planning and business law attorney with offices in Edina, Minnesota and New York City. So let's get to the questions. Question 1 this week. Can I create an LLC for my property if I'm moving out of state? And the simple answer is yes, you certainly can. So in this case, the client is currently owning an apartment in Minneapolis and is planning on moving to a different state, but wants to keep the apartment. The main reason being that they have a good mortgage rate and there's no reason to give up the property and sell it at this point. And they weren't even sure if there would be buyers. And they actually already have a tenant lined up to move in when they leave. And the question was, can they set up an LLC and then move out of state? The simple answer is yes. LLC owners do not have to be in the state where the LLC is formed. Question 2 this week. Do I have to sign an operating agreement for my LLC? This is a very common question I get for business owners across the board when I have an initial consultation with somebody who set up the business on their own. Maybe they used an online website and they think they're done with the process because they filed their paperwork with the state and that's it. However, to truly show that you're a legitimate LLC, that you're a business, you want to make sure you are doing your operating agreement. If you're in the state of New York, for example, New York actually requires that the operating agreement be signed within 90 days of formation of the LLC. Most states don't have that kind of requirement. So your operating agreement is usually something you want to have, but not something you must have signed within a certain period. Now, if you don't do an operating agreement, what happens is you're leaving your operating agreement up to the local laws of your state. So whatever the laws say regarding your LLC, regarding your corporation, that becomes your default agreement. And so you may not know what the law provides. And if there's a dispute among members or owners of your business, without an operating agreement, you now have to go to court to work out those disputes. Question 3, I've received a judgment against somebody, but I want to sue them again. Can I do it? And this all comes down to 2 things. First of all, what's in the judgment? And second of all, whether or not the judgment ends a case with or without prejudice. So if you've made a claim against somebody for a certain amount of money, let's say on a breach of contract, and in this case, the person won about $4,000 on that breach of contract, but wanted to go back and sue for more money, the simple answer is no. You can't go sue them for the same contract. It has to be a different contract. It would have to be different damages. You can't just get a judgment from a judge and then sue again for the same amount. Now, when we look at the with or without prejudice, what can happen when we get a judgment, and happened to this individual, was they had other claims as well that were dismissed by the judge, but those claims were dismissed without prejudice, which means they can be refiled, so he can bring claims for those claims. However, there was another claim that was dismissed with prejudice, and so that claim cannot be refiled. You cannot sue somebody again when a claim has been dismissed with prejudice. Question 4 this week. If I have kids and I have a trust, do I need a will? And the simple answer is if the kids are under 18, yes, you need a will as well. So a trust is a wonderful mechanism we can use in estate planning to make sure we've got a plan for your legacy. And especially when we have children under 18, we can have a trustee appointed to make sure to take care of money and manage it for them after you're gone. However, a trust cannot appoint a guardian, which is the reason we need a will. And so your will can even be a very short one that just says anything I have at the time of my death goes into my trust. And here are the guardians for my children. And here's the personal representative or the executor. But because that trust cannot appoint a guardian, if we have those children, we want to make sure we have a will in place so we can tell your local probate court who you want to be the guardian of your children after you're gone if they're under the age of 18. Question 5 this week. Why does probate court take so long? This is a very common question I get with people who are dealing either with the probate court who have just dealt with something for their family and they're putting together their estate plan. And they say, I know why I want an estate plan now after watching how long it took. So the simple answer is going to be it depends upon what probate court you're in as to how long it takes. So some probate courts take a long time. Some courts are a lot faster. Depending what state you're in, you want to look to see if your state has some kind of an informal probate procedure. So for example, in Minnesota, we have informal probate, which is a streamlined version of a full probate case. When we have a will and we have a death certificate, we can submit it to the court and ask that the personal representative be informally appointed and be able to go about their duties in a more streamlined manner without having to go back to the court every time they need to make a major transaction or do something on behalf of the estate. So the probate court may or may not take long. It really depends where you are. And frankly, it probably depends upon the caseload they're dealing with for how fast they can go. So that's our 5 questions for the week. If you like this video, you can hit the like button or the thumbs up button below. You can subscribe to future episodes on YouTube. You can submit a question for future episodes at the link below. You can always go to 𝙃𝙀𝙍𝙀𝙀. We can set up a legal strategy session to discuss your questions individually. Wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July and holiday weekend, and we'll see you next week.